Selecting items is really important in Illustrator in order to colour things, also move and adjust things in your drawings after they've been drawn. And that's the nice thing about Illustrator. It's creatively flexible, so I can change things after I've drawn them. Now, I want you to go to the Essentials workspace and reset it if need be, so it looks the same as mine, and then click on the Layers panel. And I'm going to drag the Layers panel out here and close my artboards, just so that we can see our layer panel here. And what we're going to do is start with the selection tool. Now the selection tool is used to select items, and you see that just by clicking on items, I make a selection and it's highlighted here by the vectors that have been used to draw it. Now it also selects it here in the layers panel, and if I open up that layer, you'll notice that my heart now has a little indicator by it telling me it's selected. I can also select items by selecting them here in the Layers panel. Just by clicking on the object's target button, I can select it and isolate it, and then do things like adjust the size of it, for example, or fill the colour with a different colour. So I could make an adjustment to the colour maybe. So I can make an adjustment once I've made a selection, and I can select individual items by clicking on the target menu, or I can select a whole layer of objects by clicking on the target menu for the whole layer. And then I can make global changes, so I could just make the teddy bear a little bit smaller by selecting the bounding box, and when it changes to a little arrow, just adjusting the scale and holding down Shift to constrain it so that we get a smaller teddy bear. We can also use that to move it into position as well. So, making selections either per layer or per item in layer or object in layer is easy done either in the layer panel or by clicking on items here. It's not so easy to make a selection by clicking and dragging here, because if I click here and try and make a selection, notice I'm actually moving that layer because it's not locked. So you tend to have to click and drag from outside the artboard. And then you end up selecting items you don't want, so you have to hold down Shift and deselect those items, and you get into all sorts of a mess. So I tend to use the selections over here a little more than I would use the selections here by Shift selecting. Okay, we also have, if we have a look in the pen practice layer, a couple of ways of moving items as well using selections. Now, a lot of people I've seen select items, cut them, and then paste them into other layers, and that's fine. But an easier way is just to select an item, like the sun we have selected here, and this little red square indicates the selected art, and I can actually drag that onto a new layer, and basically I've moved the sun now in front of the clouds. Okay, so the clouds now go behind the sun. So you can move items just by clicking and dragging them like that. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is have a look at this tool here, which is the Direct Selection tool. What the Direct Selection tool allows you to do is if I click on a path, it allows me to select that path, and then if I click on a point on the path, it allows me to make an adjustment to that point. And of course I could select multiple points if I want to, hold down Shift to select multiple points and make adjustments to the shape. Now I can also select a point and adjust the curve. So notice that the handles come out, and I can now adjust the curve on either side of that point. So the Direct Selection tool is really for fine-tuning shapes and adjusting the curves and the points on a path once they've been drawn. So there we go. Can also pull that handle in just to straighten that at the edge there and move that out. So you can use the Direct Selection tool just to perfect shapes, get them exactly how you want them. There are also other tools that you can use to do that, like the Convert Vertex tool will just convert that to a straight edge for me very quickly. But the Selection tool is great if I want to keep the curve, but just want to make an adjustment to it. Now you do have to be careful. You'll see there I've accidentally selected the background layer and moved it. So you do have to be careful when you're making selections. Now there's also a button up here in the control panel which allows you to select objects. So if I was to select, say, one of the clouds, and I wanted to quickly select the other cloud, I can just go up here and say select same fill colour, and it will select both the clouds. If I select one of the bear's paws, I could go up here and I could say same fill and stroke colour, and it will choose both the paws. I could even come back up here and say same stroke colour, and because these have the same stroke colour as these, it will select all four of them. Now, if I was to select this and then say same fill colour, it's going to select both of these but not these because they have a different colour but similar weight. So you'll see that you can start to select items based on their stroke weight or their stroke colour or their fill and stroke colour or their opacity, all sorts of other ways of selecting them. You can also get to that in the select menu. If we go here, we can go to same blending mode, fill and stroke, fill colour, opacity, and there are also other instances in there like symbol instances, line block series, graphic style, and appearance attributes. You can also select objects all on same layers, all direction handles, anything not aligned to the pixel grid, and there are various options for brush strokes in there. So lots of ways of saving selections. You can also, once you've selected something, so select this and then select same stroke colour, so we select those four, and then go up to our selection menu and say save selection, and we can call this paws and feet. And we now have a selection for paws and feet that we can go in and choose at any time. So if I've deselected, want to go back to my paws and feet, I just choose it and I quickly select them. So lots of different ways of selecting items in Illustrator.